So your quiz has been completed 36,512 times, and you generated 34,914 leads. Hi, guys, and welcome back to Interact's Grow podcast. So great to be with you as always. I'm your host, Jasmine Solana. And with us this week, we have a very special guest, Ashlyn Carter. Ashlyn, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Absolutely. I'm honored.
And you are on your website, you say launch copywriter, copywriter for creatives. Can you go a little bit deeper into what you do, who your customers are?
Yes, the website that I was talking to a designer this morning for like an hour about because I want to rip it down and redo it all. I started my business in 2016 as a conversion copywriter. Over time, we've just evolved, and now I think we are campaign architects. Conversion copywriting is our core of what we do, but we craft massive marketing campaigns. Love doing it. So we have an agency side of my business. We serve one-on-one clients with boutique copywriting and launch strategy services. And then I firmly believe that not knowing what to say shouldn't hold you back from making sales. And you need to learn how to be your own best positioning expert, copywriter. Hiring somebody every single time is expensive. So I also teach what I do. We have a whole education wing of the business as well. And those are the two big components. Love what I do. Love my team.
I love that. I love that.
Amazing.
And Damaris and Jesse, feel free to jump in if you guys have questions you want to ask as well. But for those who are listening, you probably don't know this, but Ashlyn's been a partner with us since 2016, and you've had your quiz since then.
Yeah. And first of all, this is so fun because I realized I've never taught this much about my quiz. Like I have one YouTube episode out there, but it's old. It's vintage as well at this point. So this is fun to talk about. And the whole reason I started my quiz is because we helped our client, Jenna Kutcher, with her quiz when she first launched it, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure she still runs that quiz. And she has multiple ones. Testament again how long these things can grow and pull in leads still. So I saw her do that, and I think, like your first year in entrepreneurship, you're like, can't tell me no, I can do stuff. And so I was like, Jenna made one, I want one. And so I wanted my own quiz and built it that year, and it's the same one that's still running. It's been a little bit iterated, but the bones are there.
So crazy. And we were just saying before the recording that at the time when the partner program was really new, when we first launched it and when you had signed on. So we had an intern or a couple of interns at the time, including me, who were all looking for people to sign on, try out a quiz for the first time, hopefully write a blog post about it, and try to get the word out there. And so it was actually one of our interns who had signed you up. So it's just crazy that like we've gone through this whole journey together, and that's where it started, like very humble beginnings.
Yes. And look, and I think too, I even remember having a moment thinking, I hope I can say this and it's okay to say, thinking, you're like, what is thinking, am I going to spend time building this? And like our quizzes, like, is the BuzzFeed thing a wave that's ending? Like, is this quiz gonna last the time? 7 years ago, and they're going nowhere. Like that's what's really cool too. It just, you guys were on the edge of a cusp of something, and they're clearly going nowhere fast.
I love that. That was perfectly said. So your quiz that you have right now running is what's your brand voice vibe? And it's to help people find their selling style. Can you tell us a little bit about how it is right now? And then we'll kind of go back into how you got started and, what you iterated from there.
Exactly. So when I was back in corporate marketing, I was in corporate marketing for years and left that, but we studied like the whole brain system of, I don't even think they were relating it to messaging. They were relating it to team building and different communication styles within a team when I was working on some nonprofit pro bono work in the agency. That was like a word salad. But essentially, I like first understood the concept of different communication styles. Deposit that in my back pocket, whatever, move on, start my business. As I'm writing copy, I all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Like that, the fact that like those were 4 different communication styles is actually very similar to what I'm seeing with my clients and what my clients are seeing with their audience members. So I started before I built the quiz, I started kind of applying those different, like, okay, some people need to see the pricing table. That is paramount to them. Some people need to understand where do they fit in this whole big like picture, like they're the visionaries, they're the dreamers, like they need to sell something to them, you have to communicate that. So that's like where I'm playing in the sandbox. The idea for a quiz comes up and I use as a basis to figure out the questions what I knew about those different styles. I wanted to initially just diagnose their brand voice and help people identify, because you'd have a lot of people, I don't have a voice, I'm vanilla, I don't have a sound. Maybe, but you're probably moving in a certain direction. I can help give you some words to communicate what that is, and you can take them and run. But so that was like kind of the first iteration. And then I realized, I was like, you know what? I might as well go ahead and tell them like what their communication style is. Because again, the more I'm in the weeds doing things with clients, I'm learning that people sell like they like to be sold to. I am an extremely analytical, black and white. Tell me how much I'm gonna, if I buy that, what's the ROI? Like that's how I buy. Our head of copywriting agency, complete opposite. She wants the story. She wants the like the feels. And I feel like that's fluff. She thinks my stuff is like heartless. So you have to, good copy has to communicate to all 4 styles. No one is reading every single word of your copy. Copy should be like a menu. So that's why I built the quiz to help people understand what's their voice, but also how do they like to sell so they can see their blind spots and know like, okay, I've got to communicate these other things too. So yeah, that's what the quiz does. It's again so funny. I mentioned before we hopped on here, I got a message in my DMs. It was either last week or the week before. Somebody saying like, I've taken a lot of quizzes. I cannot believe how much this one hit home with exactly how I feel. And I'll be like, well, it's based on a lot of, research. Thank you. But that's just been proof that this stuff can work for so many years. Have you looked up the lead? You probably know faster than me. I mean, thousands of leads at this point.
I actually have not looked at a number, but I can look it up. If everyone takes a second.
I just have to say that I took your quiz this morning and I absolutely loved it. The results and everything, the amount of information and resources you share in your results pages are incredible.
Well, I really appreciate that, Jesse. That's what I think now I want to. I mean, of course, when I made this too, AI didn't exist, and now it does. And I, as a copywriter, firmly believe like these things are not coming for mediocre copywriters. Sure, they're knocking out. But you can apply like hooks and strategy and storytelling that AI can't. But how can AI be used, no matter what level writer or communicator you are for your business? How can it be used? Just like y'all, it helps so much, give you the bones in a quiz. So that's what I want to do now is go over this thing with a fresh coat of paint. Show, okay, now you know these adjectives to describe your voice. Boom, here's 10 AI prompts that you can use specific to how you sound and sell that are going to rev up your copy even more. That's what I want to do now. That's my dream and vision.
That's exciting. I think people are going to love that. Anything that gives them prompts specific to them, not just like basic general stuff, and giving people the bones like that is huge.
Yeah. And it's interesting when I hear you explain the idea of how you even thought about your quiz. You were really ahead of the game if you think about it, because a lot of what we teach now in quiz making is really trying to understand your audience and your personas and the people that you're talking about. And you related that to their personality, their communication style, and you made a quiz out of it. And so it makes sense why it works so well, Ashlyn, because you were ahead of the game.
Well,
It's amazing.
I did it without probably trust me, that was not that was a happy accident. Because I was building and now I can look at our audience and tell, it's funny. One of the one of the 4, like, I guess, personas you can get is called the whimsical visionary. I serve creative entrepreneurs. Wouldn't you know, that is the lion's share of our audience, is like, that's how they like to be communicated to, which of course. But yeah, I
Yeah,
tell
because
people that when you're building, go ahead.
oh, so sorry, so sorry. I was going to say a lot of copywriters, I'm assuming, have this creative sort of minds and
Yeah.
are very, are
Yeah,
visionaries, you know. And it's funny
exactly.
because when I hear you talk about copywriters, I'm literally in that audience where I'm like, I don't have a voice. I don't even know how to write, so I'm just gonna just
Guilty. Me too.
You do. It's like, but everybody feels like the tube of toothpaste that's like completely squished and used up, and you're like, I have no more prompts. Like, I'm vanilla. And I think sometimes it just helps seeing with, I don't know, my team even does that for me, like helping see, okay, no, this is interesting. This is a unique point. That's a whole story on its own. And it's kind of like a muscle too. If you can start, like there's a quote somewhere out there, good writers are just good noticers of life. And anything can be a story or a little, I think people are intimidated with the idea of story, thinking it needs to be some big beginning, middle, end. Like it can just be a
yeah.
little aside or a funny anecdote. And people are endlessly interested in other people's lives. Everyone's nosy. We all want to know, like, what are you reading? What do you wash your hair with? What are you like? What we
Yeah.
just like that stuff about people. So you can use little bits of that sprinkled into your copy and showcase your
I'm
voice along with
interested to ask you, especially because you have a very successful copywriting business. You teach people, you have these coaching programs. Like, why, in your own opinion, this is like there's no right or wrong answer, but why do you think that quizzes are so successful? Like,
it.
why do you think people like quizzes? Why do you think people or businesses can be successful in quiz making, right? And it could be
Yeah, I know.
specific for copywriters because I know that's like mainly, a lot of people that you serve, but I'm just curious to know like your opinion on the matter.
Yeah, I think it's simple. We love to self-diagnose. We love to learn. Like, people are
Mhm.
fascinated with learning about themselves, and quizzes
Yeah.
frame that information like back to you. I was even looking at y'all's library of quizzes. It's almost dangerous because then you look at it, you're like, oh, and then I want to make that. I want to make that. It's like,
Yeah.
stay the course. But it's just, we all want to know. Like, we
Yeah.
can't get to the bottom of ourselves, and we are addicts to it. And I think that's
Yeah.
where quizzes can be so fun. And exactly like you said, Finish, they can be that's what's so cool, is how creative they can be, and they can fit in any business. I love when people are like, oh, quiz wouldn't work for what kind of quiz would I do? I have a ecom business with candles or whatever. It's like, no, I promise you, there's a quiz in there somewhere, and people want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's always my like number one answer when people ask me that. It's the same thing you just said. It's like people just
You
like to
think so
know
too?
about themselves. Like people just like to understand themselves, whether it's
Yeah.
personality based, knowledge based, learning something about themselves. We are
Yeah.
just human, like that's just human behavior, I think, right? Like we just
Yes.
like learning about.
Curious.
Yeah, exactly. So I love that we are aligned in that. That's great.
Great cards.
Desmond, did you do some digging? Do we know how many?
When my internet decided to come back on. Okay, so your quiz has been completed 36,512 times, and you generated 34,914 leads.
With a quiz I made
Oh,
in 2016 and have barely updated. Like, what? That
that's
is how
Fascinating.
powerful.
wild.
Yes, but
Also, that's
oh,
crazy.
It's
That
insane.
So out of 36,000 people, 34,000 opted in.
Yeah, which is incredible because I think, it's like, and copy is everything, but there's also that moment where you ask for somebody's like personal information, and they also have to get over that hump, right? And so for you
yeah.
to have just like, what is that? Maybe not even 2,000 leads difference, like that is incredible.
That's a huge conversion
It
rate.
gets
That's
you a
awesome.
good, clean lead too. I think we're, in a world of freebies and downloads and, YouTube University, everything out there for free, like a quiz really does pull you a good, like if they've stuck with you to the end of the quiz and you've built the quiz with y'all's tools to help them get through, they want the info at the end and they stick around, they're on your list. They're in. Like, that's the kind of people I want.
Yeah. So I'm sure people are wondering, like, that's great. How are you getting people to see your quiz? How are you
Okay,
promoting?
do you know that I've never run ads to that sucker ever, and that is a
Wow.
massive missed opportunity. But I should have, I just wasn't. We have pins out there for it. It's kind of been like a runaway too. I think people share it. Pinterest is probably the biggest source of traffic to it specifically. And I mention it in the footer of like all of our YouTube videos. So that's really how I promote it, is just purely traffic generating social media. No paid.
That's wild. That's
Like,
wild. I'm excited if you do run an ad. I want to hear what happens because
I
clearly
actually
you've proven it works. Your quiz works. So
so now that it works, after I can like judge it with the AI stuff, I'm gonna tell our ads team, like, let's play with this puppy, like let's see what it can do. Yeah.
I have
Can't
a
wait.
question.
Hit
Have
it.
you always had 11 questions in your quiz? Because this is something that we've debated as a team for a long time. We're always like, 6 to 8 questions is ideal. You don't want to lose people, but it looks like 11 questions is working for you. It is like
I
finding
would
out.
love to hear y'all's thoughts on that, because I actually think it was more, and then I culled it down because I wanted part of the UVP of the quiz to be like, in X questions, I'll tell you this, because I love the quizzes I see in y'all's library, especially that are like, under 2 minutes. Like, if I can tell people in advance how long it'll take them. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should try to, but it seems like I'll look at the stats. It seems like the start to finish rate isn't terrible, but I love to play the numbers game and like beat the benchmark.
tell you
You
right
know
now.
what? This is like a perfect like case study of like, yes, you put a lot of thought into your quiz questions and your quiz results, but you've also just like got it out there and you just started testing it and you just put it on your website and you just like, hey, let's see how this thing performs. It's not like 100% maybe like the way that you would want it to be, but it's still performing incredibly well. And you didn't really like, it doesn't seem like you like completely overthought the process. You were just like, this looks clean, this looks good. Let's get it out there, team. That's amazing.
So true. And that's like, I did that before. I would say the more I'm in business, the more I overthink things. I love 2016 Ashlyn, who was like, let's go, let's put it up. I need to like channel that again, because I think that's how we should. Oh my goodness, my friend said from the conference that we are all in attendance at, I love how she said, outsource your number one question to a quiz. Like, blew my mind, my brain in a puddle on the floor when she said that. I immediately Voxered the person who is in our customer service, and I said, like, tell me the top 5 questions that you get, because I think that is such a smart idea to like our next quiz. Again, maybe I can like brush it off, make it in a day, not be precious about it, and like I was with this one. But what a great way to serve your people is expedite the process, make it fun for them to get the information that they were already looking for. I thought that was brilliant when she said that.
Yeah, it was Dawn, right?
Yes, it was Dawn.
I
Yeah,
was thinking that
just
it was
recorded
Dawn.
her episode like a couple weeks ago.
So smart. So smart.
Yeah.
That's been good. And you didn't ask this, but some other quizzes we've made that have been super helpful have been at the end of sales funnels to help people understand if a product is right for them or not. Because everyone thinks a marketer is out to separate a fool from his money and like, we're out to get you. And so I think if you can make a quiz that clearly diagnoses like, no, this is actually not for you if X, Y, and Z, and you like build the quiz to give them no results, that's been great for us too. We've put that at the back end of 2 products, and it's been great. And I should make one for a lot, like every single product we have.
Yeah, that's incredible because I think a lot of times, I mean, in general, we talk about quizzes as your top of funnel. It's, you know, the foot in the door kind of a thing, right? Like it's what gets people to your door. Whereas, like, it can work at different stages of the funnel. It really just depends on what you want to do with your quiz.
Yes.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, and I think like if you get a ton of questions on the same thing, it's like, oh, this is perfect. Like, let me just do it in a quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely
Yeah.
agree.
And this kind of, just for all the listeners listening out there, this is also part of like a quiz course that we offer. Like, this is one of the things that we do teach. Like, if there is a question that constantly comes up, just make your quiz about that. And this is exactly what Ashlyn's saying, that's what her quiz is mainly about. When we had a podcast episode with her a few weeks ago, she just made the quiz to answer the question that people just kept asking her over and over and over again. And it's worked for her very well as well. So amazing. I love to hear this. It's getting me excited.
Ashlyn,
Me
so you
too.
were talking about kind of zhuzhing up your quiz with AI. Can you talk a little bit more about why, and then also what are you looking for differently?
Yes. So I've talked to some of our coaching clients and our membership and our students about this, but if you can, like, if you're out to find what is the onlyness factor of your offer, your product, your course, whatever it is, a lot of us can use the, like, our IP, your intellectual property in it, like your method, as the hook. Like, you probably do things in a certain order. So if that's your concept, make the quiz to help them diagnose kind of through that. Like, that's kind of what mine is, right? It's based on like a theory that I had. So if you have a theory or a hypothesis and your quiz can walk them through that, and your hypothesis holds up, then over time you look around and you're like, you look over your shoulder, you've got 3 years of more information and more research and more resources that you've made that you can apply on top of like your method that you already have. So that's what I want to do now, is I have these 4 different approaches to buying and selling, and I want to go in each one now and just provide people updated resources. For one, I have, almost a YouTube every single week. So there's more tools to help them. I want to probably sell harder at the end of it. Like, hey, here's a specific tool in the shop that will help you with this. Here is exactly how. Do you need to talk about this further? Click here, book a call with our team. Like, go ahead and help point them to what's next. I think maybe I will say 2016 Ashlyn was afraid probably to do that. I'm not as afraid anymore. I'm like, we have built good things that can help people. So that's one update I want to make to it. And then, yeah, adding little prompts where people can like copy paste and throw it into ChatGPT. We all know ChatGPT AI tools are like a Lamborghini if you know how to drive them. Otherwise, you're like me, and like you have to sit there and be like, oh, this is real pretty. So I want to help people like, no, exactly. Here, copy paste, throw this in, get this spit back. That's what I want to help. So those are probably my 3 big goals with wanting to judge. On top of, we have a designer that's working on some rebranding. I looked up and I thought all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm moodier. I am like this light in here, just some of the stuff with the brand. I'm like, over time, I think I've just gotten more like, I don't know, the brand visuals changed a little bit. So coat of paint, cannot wait to roll that out.
New Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Yeah, new Lamborghini. Not that I don't even know have I even seen one? Maybe not. I don't know. I just, I know zero about
This is slightly off topic, but in relation to your quiz still and AI, like, can you, as a copywriter, like, can you give our listeners a little bit of, I don't know what to call this, maybe like a pep talk, or like why you're not afraid to use AI as a copywriter?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I've journals on this. In November, so I started playing around with AI in my business in February of 2022. It was, I guess, November of 2022, wasn't it, that ChatGPT launched and like broke the internet, million subscribers in like 48 hours. I cried. I cried so hard. I was like, my entire livelihood is done. Like, I wouldn't play with it. I was terrified. About a week later, I started playing with it, more terrified. But then I was also like, but it's not good. But I didn't know how to prompt it. So that goes on for like 2 months. Finally, February, I just like put on my big girl pants. I thought, okay, the wave is here. I can either hop on and learn how to surf, or I can just let it crash, destroy me. Um, I 100% believe that it will replace mediocre and bad copywriters. I think, and I did a YouTube about it. There's 5 things that you can do as a human that AI can't do. You're a better storyteller. You can knows how to hook. AI can't. You have an EQ. You can read the room. A bot cannot read the room. Like, there's just elements that you have that it doesn't. And so if you can figure out how to have the tool up and prompt it well and just use it, I think a lot of us hate the blank white page. If you can use it to get you a dang good first draft of something, that's where it can be very powerful. Use it to clean, edit, give you fresh ideas. I use it constantly. Like I say, give me a word cloud of every word, 100 words having to do with the word library. If I'm trying to brainstorm something, there's a huge list of words so now I can play and be creative. One time I was playing with it and I was using references and it said something like, pull off your Daft Punk helmet and finally see blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's so funny. Like, I would have never thought to use a Daft Punk reference in this email, but I did. So that's where it is fun for me. And I also believe, I tell copywriters this, there's going to be, let's get to the top of the bell curve and it'll come down, but I'm pretty sure there will probably be a premium again on custom done for you non-AI work, like artisan, true, made from human hands work. I think we will see, we already have, AI has exploded the amount of content out there. It's a win the attention, win the dollar world. So now that there's so much more words out there, you have to be even faster, better, stronger, funnier, and AI can help you do that, but you have to put a human spin on it to kind of like beat the bots and get to the top.
I love that perspective because I think about, I don't know, like going to Home Goods and you're like, oh, this is cute. But like if you go travel and you find something similar, it's like, okay, now I want to buy it here because this is like a small shop. Like this person made it this morning or like last week or whatever it was, and there is like a market for that as
I
well.
love that. That's a good analogy. And there's a writer named Anne Handley. I totally commend her newsletter to anybody. She wrote about how she has a copy of, maybe it's Charlotte's Web, and then somebody mailed her a first edition E.B. White signed copy, and she was like, same book. Which one do you think I love? The one with the human touch. Like, that's the difference in like AI produced copy and then copy that has like a human touch to it. We gravitate towards like you just said, the one that has that thumbprint on it.
I love that.
I agree with that because even now with like our AI tool and all of our customers can create their quiz within 2 minutes, we explicitly say like this is a rough draft. Like if you can 100% from there elaborate your result page either yourself or hire a copywriter to make it sound the way that you like. It's really just a way to get your creative juices going and really start like focusing your brand voice and what you want it to look like and sound like. And then you just kind of from there,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like when you buy a shirt at the store, right? Like you buy a shirt at the store, it's just a shirt. But like when you accessorize it, it now becomes your personal style.
That's true.
Jasmine with the analogies, man.
Dude, actually, I woke
You're
up this
on it
morning.
today.
I woke up this morning and I was like, I feel wrecked. I don't know why. I just feel so tired this week. Like it's been a tough week, but I don't know. Now the juices are flowing.
Sometimes you ever feel like sometimes when I guess it's like why at like 1 a.m. you can be creative when you're just like, who cares? And you're tired. That's what sometimes like your brain's random ideas come from.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Love that. I'm trying to think if there's any guys, do you have any last minute questions on Ashlyn's quiz?
I think I'm just excited to see how you're gonna, combine AI with it and everything. I think it's going to be huge. I'm excited to see it. And I'm excited to hear you run ads on it because your numbers are insane.
Y'all are
Yeah.
like, it's about time, right? It is about time.
Well, I agree. I do have like a last minute question. I think maybe you were going to ask this to Jasmine because I saw it in one of the questions that you were going to ask her. But you're like a true like testament of a lot of the things that we try to tell our customers, or we try to tell people that are coming in brand new in quiz making, are very worried, or sometimes they really just don't even know what direction to take. And I'm sure you get this with copywriting. And it's interesting to hear how your story of like how you started your quiz, you just got it out there, and then you really haven't been like running ads or anything. It's just been an organic sort of like process for you. Like, what would you tell people, like if they're just thinking about, hey, I'm just going to try a quiz, like what would you tell them or encourage them, or what advice would you say when it comes to that?
Love it. Block a day of work day, go in Interact's library of ideas and just play in the sandbox. Like, remember when you started and it was like fun and you could just play and imagine, and there was no construct of like, or I don't know, like I miss scheduled free time. The more you are in business is really difficult, but I think a quiz can be that for you. And it also, the beauty is it doesn't take that long to build. Like you truly could get it done in a day, see how far you get, and then just see what happens. I mean, I definitely, there's so many blind spots to my quiz or the campaign. Like people could, I know it could be ripped out, but like, like ripped down, torn down, like, but it's just try it. Like who knows? It could take off. There's so much in what you guys have given as the building blocks that it will, I would say, like with great certainty it will probably work. And it, like, you'll, with minimum tweaking, you could have a great minimum viable product. What is that? The guy that founded LinkedIn, he said if you launch it perfect, you launched it too late. Like if you just
Mhm.
try, I'm blown away with what you can build in there quickly. And it's almost dangerous because I look at it and I'm like, I want 10 more. Um I I need to
Totally.
just like make better what I have and run ads, right? Run ads finally.
Hmm.
But that's what I would tell somebody. Block a day, go have fun. And y'all have it divided up by category. Like go look at a category completely different from what you do. Like if you're in y'all had a copywriting section. Go look at something vastly different and see like what would be fun. I've told this to clients too, of like play around on BuzzFeed for a little bit. Just like remember the voicey silliness of the questions and let yourself kind of be a kid again, and then pull that over when you build your quiz too.
That's
I love that. I love that.
Intract's new slogan, just try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
I was just thinking as you were like talking and kind of you know, about like just trying it. When you hopped in 2016, I don't even think we had like redirect landing pages at the time.
No,
We didn't have pop-ups or like announcement bars. Like all of that was like iterated, you know, as the years went by. So it's just so crazy that you're like, okay, let's just go with it and see what happens.
yeah. That's another thing. I need to look and see like what y'all have changed and grown the tool with features that I am not using that I totally should be. So I'm pumped.
I love it. I love
Exciting.
I love it.
Thank
Well,
you.
Ashlyn, thank you so much for hopping on and chatting with us and telling us all about your quiz. We might need to do another one when you get
Mhm.
one out and let us know how it's going. But can you, before we hop off, tell everybody where they could find you online and yeah, I guess anything else.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And like I just believe so much in what you've built, and thank you for making something that made it so fun to get thousands of leads. I am at ashlynwrites.com. Hopefully by the time this drops, our new website will be up. And that quiz may be refreshed, but that's where I live on the internet. And I always tell people, like, I try to have at least like one free resource for anything that you may be stuck on writing. So reach out if you need anything, or you're stuck in that white page in the blinking cursor, because that's our goal. That's what we're after in my business.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love it.
Love it. Thank you so
Well, guys,
much.
thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.